guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Franca and I'm glad you're here. This week I read 4 popular hockey romance books by some popular authors, and think of this video more as a wrap up because I read all these books off camera. I kept telling myself, I was like, I'll film it later, and then I didn't film any of them. So now it's come time for me to actually start editing this video, and I have no footage. So we're gonna do a little wrap up. We're gonna talk about the books. So the first book I started off with is Body Check by Elle Kennedy. I have read a book previously by Elle Kennedy, and I liked that one a little more. It was the Dixon Rule. I don't know if this is part of like a series or something, or like interconnecting standalone series kind of thing. I have no idea. I ended up giving this book a 2 stars because I did not like it. I have no idea. It was very much not what I was expecting. I don't even know how to explain it. I just didn't like it. It was very short, and I feel like as much as I love the short books, that I can like get through them quicker kind of thing, and it's not like a mental strain to try and remember what the heck is going on. I feel like it didn't give me enough time to connect with the characters and like fall in love with them falling in love, if that makes sense. It was very quick, it was very short. Also, I feel like a lot of newer romance books, I guess you could say, I'm sure they've been around for a while. I didn't read them when I was little, but I feel like this book in particular, I feel like a lot of them have like the spice element or whatever, but sometimes I feel like the way they're written, sometimes their relationship is literally like all about the spice, and like, you know what I mean? Like, not those like touching moments where you're like, oh, this is why I love this person. It's like, no, they had sex and then they like fell in love with each other. There wasn't much I liked about this book, if I'm being honest. I really didn't like it. I like the cover though. I also feel like he fell harder for her than she did for him. And she's like, yeah, no, we're just friends with benefits. And then he's like, no, but like, I really love you. And like, I don't know. I couldn't deal. Sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. And I feel like this particular book, I didn't like it. Not that I think like Elle Kennedy's a bad writer or anything by any means. It was like entertaining enough that I wasn't like, I want to throw this book out the window kind of thing. But it just like wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't like it. 2 stars it is. That's about it. Next book I read was The Au Pair Affair by Tessa Bailey. I have read other Tessa Bailey books. The other one I read was, what is it called? Fangirl Down, which was golf, and they kind of introduced these characters. I did end up giving this book a 3-star, but I feel like you can tell that this is a man written by a woman. You know what I mean? I feel like he was paying attention to the details too much. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I feel like guys would ignore all of those things. Not that I don't love a good man written by a woman. I don't know. In this case, I didn't really like it, unfortunately. I don't know. He was saying things, and I was like, you're kind of giving me the ick. But they also introduced another couple in this book, which I guess, I don't know if they do have a story or not, but I assume they probably would, following the trajectory of every single person in the friend group needs to have a book about them. I could not be a character in these books. Tell me why he's like in love with her, and he's like, you can nanny at my house and live in my house for free. Absolutely. And she's like, no, there's kind of like a moral dilemma with that, and blah, blah, blah. So then he finds her a place for cheap in her affordable range, and then it's a really nice apartment. And then she's like, I can't have you paying half my rent for me. I'd be like, absolutely. sign the paper. And this is the same thing. I saw so many like TikToks about this, about Maxton Hall, where the guy in Maxton Hall, I forget what his name was. I watched it a while ago, but now that I think about it, I need to try and find that book in English. I wonder if it's come out in English yet. Because last time I looked, it hadn't come out in English. I was like, dang it. But in like Maxton Hall, he like hands her a wad of money. He's like, keep quiet. And she's like, no, I don't need your money. And I'm like, girl, you're poor. What do you mean? You need his money? And then he handed her more, and he's like, what about this? He's like, you drive a hard bargain. instantly would have taken all the money, and then there would have been no story. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like there was like a little bit of a disconnect because everything this character did, I was like, why are you doing that? And it kind of annoys me. But when they kind of like ignore the option I would have chosen in this situation, I'm like, I don't know if I like you anymore. But I think that's a personal thing. Did still enjoy the book. Solid 3 star. Next, we have Stay by Elle Kennedy and Sabrina Bowen. So this book was written by 2 people, and I feel like I still can't fathom in my head how like 2 people wrote this, but they did do a little like an interview of like how they wrote the book and stuff like that, which I thought was a little interesting. I still don't get it because I feel like the second the other person took the story in a different direction, I'd be like, absolutely not. I don't want that. Stop. I originally thought like one of them was the guy's point of view and one of them was the girl's point of view, which would be interesting. That would be interesting to like co-write a book of like you solely are in one character's point of view and the other person solely in the other character's point of view, and like something happens and they both have different recollections. I think that would be interesting for like a murder mystery or like a thriller kind of book. I think that'd be interesting. But for this one, they said they just like wrote whatever. I think it was like a couple pages or stuff like that and then sent it over. I don't know. I feel like I couldn't do that. But you know what's kind of crazy? To be honest, I couldn't tell. Maybe it's because I have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, if I'm being completely honest. I couldn't tell what one person wrote and what the other person wrote. Like, I feel like their voices, like, mended together, and I couldn't tell the changes. So I have no idea. But they said it was really good for like writer's block and stuff, like being like, oh, I couldn't figure out what happened, so I just like sent it over to the other person and then they wrote it for me. And I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. The story itself, a little weird sometimes, but I was gonna give this a 2 star because I don't think I enjoyed it that much. One of the things that brought it up was the fact that it was took place in Toronto. I have like such a soft spot for when like books or TV shows take place in Canada or like especially like Toronto and stuff because I'm like, oh my god, I know what they're talking about. I was like, oh my god, this is so fun. Like I actually know what they're talking about, and like if I wanted to, I could go there. It was a little weird. I did end up giving it a 3 star, which is fine. I feel like I liked this one a little bit more. The other 2, the guy fell first. But this one, the guy also fell first. And I feel like I like this a little bit more. But like the thing I didn't like about it was their exes. I was like, I don't care about them. Why are they part of this story? Like I could care less about them. They hold no importance in my life. I don't want to hear about them. I don't care. So yeah, that's about it. Also, I had a dog in it, so I feel like that also brought it up. The last hockey romance I read was Collide. This book was a 4 star for me. First of all, this cover, literally stunning. Love it. Super cute. Here's the thing. I really enjoyed it because it was like kind of enemies to lovers, kind of. The guy was really sweet. The thing I didn't like about it though is how like I feel like kind of how the characters change. Obviously characters are gonna change, but this girl was like hell bent on like I'm a student, I'm a studier, blah 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 blah. Then this guy comes in her life, she starts dating him, and she's like off gallivanting. I'm like, you would never do that. She was like so worried about like this thing she had to put in and blah 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 blah. And instead of like focusing on it, she's just like hanging out with this guy and his friends. And I'm like, girl, that is not what your whole character was about in the middle at the beginning. And I guess that's like the character arc or whatever, but I didn't like it. I was like, girl, no. I did like the way, sorry, I didn't even say the name. Sorry if I mispronounced this. Bal Khabra, I believe. If it's wrong, forgive me. I did like the writing itself. I also don't like how like all of a sudden her dad, like I guess she was like withholding information for us for like suspense or whatever. But also like her dad just like secretly part of the NHL. And then I was like, okay. Oh well. I feel like that's like something like everyone like uses. They're like, oh yeah, like this person's parent is in the NHL. This person's parent like is the coach of the team, and then they like fall in love. And not that I don't like this story, because I did, but I feel like that trope's, like, kinda, like, overused a little bit to the point where I'm like, unless the story's really good and you're bringing something new and offering something new to the table, I don't know if I like it. But with that said, like, I feel like hockey romances have, like, a special place in my heart as a hockey player myself. So those were the 4 hockey romance books I read this week. I did enjoy them. I obviously do plan to read more because I feel like as a Canadian, I have to. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like and comment down below. If you didn't, feel free to leave a hate comment. I'd love to hear your opinion, and I will see you guys tomorrow.